and thank you for clicking on this video. Today I wanted to talk about something that made me a little sad and a little disappointed, not just as a content creator on YouTube, but just as someone who still very much enjoys watching content from other creators that I admire. I think we've all been sad about a lot recently. There's a lot in the world to be sad about, but this just happens to be the topic that I have the energy to talk about today, and that I feel like I wanted to share some thoughts on, because it kind of brought up things that I've thought about as a content creator, and things that I think if you're going to, get into commentary, YouTube specifically, you have to be aware of and think about, especially if you're going to be using your voice to amplify voices that might not be as loud as you are, or in as privileged as a position of you are, whether that be because of your gender, sexuality, race, or, just the fact that you have a platform is a privilege within itself. For those of you who are like me, who enjoy Nick is Not Green's content or have enjoyed it in the past, please know going into this video that I'm not here to just attack Nick or throw him under the bus. I just feel like there's some nuance to this topic that I want to add, because there's been a lot of I think dishonest feedback coming from Twitter, from a multitude of places, where people are sort of just lumping certain criticisms as having no direction or no validity, when I don't really think that that's true or honest.
What is up, guys? Today we're going to do part 3 of reacting to alpha male cringe. Let's go. Okay, wait. Stop there. Women can literally be just as smart as men. I have so many female friends that literally go to college that are way smarter than this guy. Okay, I know my entire channel is reacting to misogynists and alpha males, but I actually haven't done enough research myself to actually debunk any of these theories, so I'm just gonna make fun of this guy's hairline. Bro! What the heck is with this guy's hair? So I woke up to this. I stand with my video. I think a lot of women agree with it. My point is being so misconstrued because people are just choosing random big creators and being like, you sound silly because he doesn't do this. Yeah, I wasn't talking about him. And that's why I'm kind of trapped between a rock and a hard place, because the video I was thinking about Nick is Not Green. And I wanted to be vague at first, but the more vague I am, the more people just decide it's about other creators. And the more I'm trying to defend myself, the more it feels like I'm picking on Nick is Not Green. People on here and on Twitter are like, oh, she wants Curtis Connor to do an hour-long gender theory stand-up special. Like, wow, you're a genius. You so purposely missed the point of the video so that you can make better insults. So when I say I'm not talking about Curtis, he's a comedian first, which a lot of people thought was a bias, which I don't think it is. I think he is a comedian. He writes jokes. And I'm not saying this as a diss. There's a lot of commentary people who genuinely aren't comedians. They're not writing jokes. They're not really saying anything funny. They're just kind of reacting. So then people are saying, oh, she's only defending Curtis because he's white. I did defend other non-white creators. I was basically defending everyone I wasn't talking about. So what was I critiquing? What content do I actually not like? Is the ones where it's just an alpha male being like, hey, women aren't people. And that content itself is bait to have people react and being like, women are people. You know what I mean? They're so mad I made this video, but if you look at it, I didn't sit down and make a take video. I did it kind of in a comedic format, and that's what the commentary guys are doing. How dare you make commentary on commentary, guys? And a lot of times it's you're telling me it's comedy. Where's the comedy? It's just reacting what's with this guy?
So before I dig into Nick's response, I just feel like there's so many people who are sort of missing the point of that initial video and just villainizing this creator for putting it out there. From what I can tell, before Nick is Not Green responded to this, there were a lot of people in the comments that were saying very similar things, and it wasn't, most of them were not directly hateful towards Nick. That changed a little bit after he responded, because to be honest, I don't think he responded that great, to put it bluntly. I feel like this is the kind of humor that we need to have for ourselves sometimes, in the same way that, not to compare everybody to Bo Burnham, but this is kind of what came to mind. Bo Burnham's special, Inside, and how he was, able to be critical of his past self and also sort of bring attention to how low the bar is for men when it comes to having a voice that is actually heard. And I feel like that's kind of a point that's being made here by this creator about Nick is Not Green. It's not that his points are wrong or that he's actively causing harm, or that he's not even doing a lot of good, because he is. But there's also a frustration when it comes to women and people who don't identify as men, when it feels like there's this sort of bare minimum being achieved here, and those voices are propped up so much louder than the rest of ours. I thought the video was funny, to be honest, but I do get that it hurt Nick's feelings. I think that's valid. None of us are ever going to be perfect in every way. There is a lot of responsibility and pressure and unmanageable expectations when it comes to creating content that talks about serious issues or brings attention to serious issues. But it's not about perfection. It's about knowing that we can always do better. Always. That's the point. People are so quick to rush to say nobody's perfect, nobody can do everything. Of course not. Of course not. But we only stop getting better when we stop listening. And I'm not saying that means you have to obey the demands of all the people criticizing you, but you should at least be demonstrating that you're willing to listen. Now, is that necessary for all criticisms? Of course not. It depends on your moral standing and what your ethics are and what you're trying to do with your platform, right? Those people that I'm speaking for should feel comfortable enough to come to my comment section or criticize me if they feel like I wasn't doing them justice. I'm not saying that you have to agree with everything that every single person in that marginalized group is saying, but villainizing everyone who says anything negative or, slightly critiqueful about your content isn't the answer either. How is that not just sort of proving this creator's point? How is that being true to your morals and your ethics and the people that you want to help? And I do genuinely believe that Nick is Not Green wants to help. But, I have been wrong before. Many of us have. And I think particularly in, this age of social media, there's a lot of distrust and hurt for people who aren't cis men being sort of duped by these activists who come into these spaces and speak for us while not actually caring what we have to say in return, or immediately villainizing us for creating commentary in the same way that they are because we were slightly critiqueful, or we didn't like their content, or we didn't find something funny, or, pulling the whole whataboutism, like, well, there's worse things in the world. Of course, yes, there's a lot of worse things in the world than what we're talking about here. But we can care about both things. Who does it help to just sort of cut off the conversation in that way? Being criticized sucks. It's hard. I feel like it's our human instinct initially, a lot of the times, to get defensive. But sometimes we have to sit with that and just reflect. I believe somewhere on Twitter, Nick is Not Green, he asked directly, what do you want me to do? And, other creators that, are his friends who aligned with him also said, what exactly do you expect him to do? What do you want him to do? Well, I kind of want to turn that question back on them and be like, what do you expect us to do? What is our obligation? When is it our turn to speak? When will our feelings matter? Or do our feelings only matter when it's benefiting you and getting you views and money and content? I do want to specifically read a couple of tweets that he said as he was sort of venting on Twitter about this, and I think it provides some insight as to, why this hurt him so much. He says, just to know that my name was one of the first to come up in the mind for people in this TikTok makes me feel like a joke. And I don't think I have the education nor am smart enough to tackle the nuance that comes with a lot of these topics. I just want to help. I empathize with that. It's difficult to want to help and not always know how, or feel like you're letting the people that you're trying to help down in some way. No one is ready for their platform to take off and all of the pressures and responsibilities that can come with that. I have no idea what it's like to have a platform of that size and create the content that Nick is trying to create. But I think there's a hard lesson for all of us to learn as content creators who get so used to hearing our own voices and being the face behind the camera that we need to remind ourselves there's a time to speak and there's a time to shut the fuck up and let other people respond, and be okay with the fact that not all of those people that you want to protect and help are going to like what you're doing. And that doesn't mean that they're bad people or that they're out to hurt you or attack you. More times than not, if the very people that you are trying to advocate for are pushing back against you, it is an opportunity to learn and to do better, whatever that may mean for you. The only thing that prevents you from doing that is when you stop listening and when you start using your voice and the platform that gave you that voice to talk over or talk down to the very people you set out to protect in the first place. That's it for this video, and I will catch you in the next one. Special voice shout out to my top patron, Queen of Beams, my Rice Crisp Snacks, Fayellen S. and Birdie, and my mod mates, Laur A., Sarah Z., and Elaine C.